Hey guys, it's attorney Brent Boyer. I wanted to talk today about, first of all, let's talk divorce. I wanted to talk today about postnuptial agreements. These come up, we get questions about them, certainly. They come up from time to time, and it's important to understand what they mean, how they work, in the context of course, where I practice, it's in the state of Michigan. So in the context of Michigan, how does that look? So postnuptial agreement, it's an agreement that you enter into after you've been married. So it's the concept is the same as a prenuptial agreement. You're trying to reach this agreement about property division and assets and spousal support and all sorts of things, and trying to kind of nail some of that down to get rid of some uncertainty in the future in the event of a divorce. But they're done after you've already been married. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. That way you'll keep getting the content from us and give us some feedback on what we're doing here. So postnuptial agreement, these are done by two married people. The parties are looking to dictate how things are going to be decided, what the disposition of their property and assets and division of things is going to look like if they get divorced, what spousal support or alimony, if any, would look like if you're getting divorced. So you're trying to dictate the terms of those things before a divorce happens, but you're already married. So either you never did a prenup, or the prenup is not something you're going to be following, and you do this postnuptial agreement instead, and you look at doing that after you've been married. And the big concern with postnuptial agreements is, are you creating something that's going to be enforceable? Because there certainly is Michigan law and there's public policy against enforceability of these documents. They can be seen as being very one-sided or being done really in contemplation of divorce, in which case they're not going to be enforceable. So enforceability does come down to whether the document promotes divorce or whether it was actually promoting the two people staying married, whether they're fair and equitable, when the postnuptial was entered into, so the timing of it. And they're always looking at this idea of consideration. So consideration is a term used in contract law, and it's basically just, has there been some bargain for exchange? If you've been married for a while, and let's say the husband is the one that owns most of the assets or owns a company or whatever it is he's trying to protect, and then he just decides one day he's going to have his wife sign this postnuptial agreement, and there's no basis for it, and it's basically says that he keeps everything in the event of a divorce, and it's just seen as something that's just coercion, and wife really had no choices on the matter, and she just signs off on this thing for really no reason. It's not likely to be enforced. There was no consideration, for one thing. There was no basis. So, the consideration is going to be created by people who are separated at the time or contemplating a divorce, or maybe a divorce has already been filed. And now they're going to enter into this agreement. They're going to say, they'll sign a postnuptial agreement, and they'll say, well, we're going to give this a try. We're going to try to stay together. In the event that we can't, these are the terms of the agreement, this is what we want, and this is how we want things to look. But we think that we can save the marriage, and we want to try to stay together. So we're entering this postnuptial agreement for that purpose. If that's being done and all the rules are being followed, there's been full disclosure, and it's something that comes across as fair and equitable, it's not all totally one-sided, and it's in contemplation of getting back together and saving the marriage, then you have a better chance of it being seen as enforceable later on when you're getting divorced and you're looking to enforce the terms of this postnuptial agreement. So you can run into trouble with any area of this. You can run into trouble with, of course, if disclosure wasn't proper. You could run into trouble if it's not seen as fair and equitable. So, is it just way too one-sided, or does it say that you're never going to pay spousal support or alimony ever for any reason, which can usually be seen as a little extreme depending on how long the marriage has been and how what kind of disparity in incomes and how those alimony factors check out at the time of the divorce is going to be the measure for whether this agreement is fair and equitable. And also looking at, was it fair and equitable at the time that you signed it? Did you own a company and now the company's grown and is worth way more money? And so you have to look at those two different, the situation with what the facts were at the time. So, postnuptial agreements, definitely a place where you can run into a lot of trouble. Good place to get some legal advice before you ever go down that road or go through the trouble of doing one. you don't want to go through a lot of things and maybe make some sacrifices and promises and all these other things, only to find out that the agreement that you've reached was never going to be seen as enforceable and is not valid. So you want to get some advice early on, as with all things divorce and family law related. But in general, that's what you're looking at. Hopefully that helps. Of course, any questions, let me know. Thanks.